Welcome back to the Krown Crypto channel, that weird place on the internet where we talk about good old magic internet money business. And today we're going to be focused on some short-term timeframes for Bitcoin as to what to expect over the next 24 to 48 hours. I think is going to be my clickbait title for today. With that in mind, I'm going to divide up the videos on this Sunday day so that this video is not like 50 minutes long. And I'll put out a more long-term macro video a little bit later, assuming that everything goes well with my schedule. With that in mind, though, I do want to wish you the best and the happiest. And let's get into it right now, starting off with the Krown Chain application, which we found at app.krownchain.net. And what do we see? We see that the fear ingredient index is currently at a 21, so it is within the extreme fearful zone. Now, just because it is very, very low, does not necessarily mean that we're destined to put in a bottom right now. This is starting to become a bit more of a meme, and at the end of the day, when it comes to these sort of underlying market dynamics, like the fear ingredient index, like leverage ratios, like financing, for example, all of these are great things to be using, but not as a fucking primary tool, at least in my experience, because where do you manage based off of where do you manage risk based off of a read like this? I mean, it gives you a bias. Yes, it can play into other more tangible things, but it's not tangible in and of itself, unfortunately. So, with that in mind, do I think that Bitcoin still generally goes a little bit lower than where we're at right now? Probably yes. But is there going to be bounces between there? Also probably yes as well. As always, the market doesn't go straight up or straight down. Moon boys and doom boys beware. It goes sideways more often than not, actually. So let's go to the market data tab over here, and there's a few interesting things to be putting some eyes on. First and foremost, the global funding rate representing financing is 0.05%. So it's well below parity, and we do see that there are several exchanges that are posting negative rates right now. That does mean that you are getting paid to hold your longs, of course, on those exchanges. And of course, the other exchanges are a little bit above, but this is still below parity in that sense. So it is kind of more favoring the market short side of things, in the sense that, well, market shorts are being a little more aggressive right here, and well, turning the financing in their against their favor, but in their in their direction, obviously. Anyways, the global leverage ratio is taking a little bit of a leg back from what we saw yesterday, but still, these are just crazy fucking numbers over here. This market is so over leveraged right now, it is insane. And on top of that, the global open interest did take a little downturn from yesterday to today. But overall, as you can see, we're in extremes right now. So the question is, who's more over leveraged? Is it the shorts or the longs? Well, financing would suggest that in the more recent times, shorts have certainly been a little more on the aggressive side. However, that is not a complete statement in and of itself. While it would imply that there is going to be pain points for shorts in this case, it's not when you're pretty much at the lows of your current downtrend, right? So we'll match that up with price action soon enough, but it would offer up the possibility for that. And yes, there is still potential for a bear trap. However, well, it's still in the same area, which is rather far away from current price action. It can definitely happen, but put things into perspective. It's not the most likely thing to happen right now. Anyways, into the third data tab we go. I just want to put some eyes on the fear ingredient index over here. Yes, we are within that extreme fearful zone, and that has been where we found some pretty nice lows in the past. But this is our first major leg into this region, and as you can see before, when you are typically in bottoming formations, it at least takes a little bit of time. The last time we saw this was a $40,000 level in late September, that is. And it took about a week to a week and a half for Bitcoin to actually put in a low in reverse from that region, as I make sure that my microphone's working and the video is recording. This is good. All right. Didn't waste 3 minutes and 20 seconds right there. Maybe I did. Who knows? Anyways, and of course, the last macro low that we saw over the summer, it's been 3 months within that region. So yes, it gives us a good insight that, hey, it's not necessarily time to be looking for the mega nuke to the downside, but still, until we actually see a reversal in price action, this is completely intangible. I should probably also talk about the programs and everything before I move on here as well. Of course, we do have our own Black Friday sale, or Cyber Monday, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Look, don't FOMO into these programs. Make sure that you watch the promo videos that you can find on this page over here. They'll go over who they're for, who they're not for, what to expect. And if there's two things that I can say right off the bat that'll disqualify most people, is first and foremost, it's going to take a lot of time. Hey, it's going to take a lot of fucking time and a lot of fucking effort as well. They are not magic pills, nor is nothing that I'm aware of in trading or basically in life. But if you do put in the work, we found that it typically takes about a year to a year and a half for most people to kind of get where they want to be, which is generally profitable. And I'm talking about the TA program right now specifically. The other programs, the option specifically, is much more difficult and applicable to even less people, of course. And indicators, of course, the same thing goes as well. Look, if you're not already profitable, an indicator is not going to instantly make you profitable. What's going to make you profitable is understanding risk and reward, a risk management, profit taking, and of course entry. At minimum, basically being able to fill out a trade strategy checklist, of which we do include that in the program. And I even have one for free here on YouTube, which people actually like even a little bit more, which is kind of funny. So you're welcome to check that out at any moment in time. Of course, again, do not FOMO into these. We still have a few days left on this, and more importantly, And more importantly, we'll have one at the end of this month anyway, or the next month anyways, because it's like another holiday. So again, no fucking rush, please. If you're on the fence, it's usually a good sign to not get in. And then I should also probably talk about the good old FEMX chill over there as well. They're still offering up, I think it's like 3,600 deposit bonus, depending upon how much you actually deposit yourself. As always, understand any exchange that is offering a deposit bonus, they're only offering that because they know that they are probably going to make more off of you than you off of them. Not necessarily that you make money off the exchange, you make money off of trading, but you know what I mean, basically. So if you're not already successful trading, don't fucking do it. Don't take it. Don't use it, because you're not just going to magically become profitable without actually having like major structural changes within your own trading. But that link is in the description below if you are that kind of person who just wants to take advantage of it and have a few more bucks added to your portfolio. Okay, cool. Let's get into it now. Shilling is over, and let's talk about good old Bitcoin right here. All right, so we're on low-term timeframes for spot price action right now. Of course, we already spoke about CME closure yesterday, of which does imply that we do see another leg down, very likely in this coming week, perhaps after an early bounce, of which we might be getting right here, right now. And what are we looking at? Well, we're looking at the 53,500-ish region right here as a bit of a base, right, for the current moment in time. And we do have a very good short-term time frame range. Or I wouldn't say like very good short-term time frame range, but we have a short-term time frame range, very simply put, between, actually not right there, it'd be right here, between about 55,500 and 53,500. Now, Bitcoin does look like it's primed to give a small try to the upside at minimum to about 55,100 or so. Short-term, we do have a bit of a higher low on the hourly, so that is good. And momentum oscillators are generally pointed up and, well, just up. We do see a drive of nice regular bullish evidence right there on hourly RSI, and hourly Joule is not getting supported by DMI right there, so I would not consider that a good signal. But if it does get supported by DMI, at that point I'd be looking for a full-on leg to the top side of the range. Above 55,500, I'd really look for this bounce to resume rather significantly in this case, and I would be drawing a fib from our last high over here to our current low, and I'd be looking anywhere between the 0.5 and the 618 as a general targeted region on a confirmation of a break of that. Essentially, that is the validation condition, basically somewhere right around here. Would that do anything for the medium or higher term timeframes? Fuck no, it would not, actually. Fuck no, it would not. Although it would be probably a really good way to get a lot of people into long positions again as Bitcoin's going to the moon and beyond, right? However, remember, as long as Bitcoin is below the last rejective high, which is pretty much the same on all timeframes up to a daily and 2-day, right? I don't actually, maybe not a 2-day, but at least a daily. $59,000 is the major number right now. As long as Bitcoin's below there, we are operating on a downtrend, and very likely we are looking lower over time, even after a little bit of a short-term bouncy bounce right here. So with that in mind, I would not be looking for that general continuation to the downside until Bitcoin officially breaks below, on even an hourly closure below that 53,000. It's actually like 400, in fact. And then I would be looking for a general move down to our next major level, of which that would be coming in from, basically coming in from our last major high on the weekly. Well, not the last one, but two before that on September at around 51,000 bucks, give or take, 500 from that number. Who knows where a stray wick comes up, in an over leveraged market like this, but for right now, short term, it does look like Bitcoin's a little more on the bouncy side. What I also want to show you right on over here is momentum oscillators from a stochastic perspective. And what do we see on the 4 hour? We see 4 hour stoch is going to be remaining with upside posturing as long as above 54,350. Right now, about $300 above that. So that's basically a Bitcoin sneeze, so it doesn't really mean too much. But what does a buy hourly look like? Buy hourly will also flip back up above 54,750. Currently trading about $150 below that with 1 hour and 40 minutes to go. So still anything can happen right there. And then hourly, what are we seeing right here? We are seeing hourly remain with upside posturing as long as above 54,200. So those are kind of the magical numbers for the short-term timeframes. But I think things get a lot more interesting on the medium-term timeframes right here, and does make me, again, kind of explore the very likelihood of Bitcoin bouncing first before continuation to the downside. And hey, if Bitcoin does bounce back up and get back above that $59,000 last prior high, I'm going to be bullish at least until 61,000 or 61,500, maybe even all the way up to 63, 64,000, at which point I'd want to come back after that and reanalysize it. But what do we see over here on the 12 hour? 12 hour will turn back up above 58,000 bucks. We do see a bit of a competing trend line right here. It doesn't look like it's going to be too likely to actually bounce off that, to be fair, but it is within the cards. And then more importantly, the daily is actually going to cross back up in the very critical zone right here with any sort of a closure above 54,850. So that is very much within striking distance. And so basically, if Bitcoin does take out the short-term time frame range to the upside, probably do look for the daily to follow through as well. Until then, short-term time frame range, very, very simply put, is just this right here. And momentum oscillators are, well, Momentum oscillators aren't giving us too much right there because you really want to see it on CME, and that one's not open, and this is still overall bearish, to be fair. But what I would say is that we very likely are looking at a move intraday here today, probably more along the lines of where when CME opens later today at, I believe, 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. Anytime between then and then Monday open for New York Stock Exchange, I'd very likely be looking for a nice move here. This does not imply direction, obviously. Volatility is direction neutral, but this is on the floor right now for the 4 hour. Last time that we were, comparably this low was basically mid-November before this nice shattering move to the downside, as you can see. So, it's again, it is direction neutral, but I'd be looking for the break of the range here alongside volatility expansion to really kind of confirm the next sort of decent direction on this asset. On top of that, another sort of secondary sort of tool to be looking at Bitcoin as we're more in a bouncy area than not is the PMARP over here. I'll show my settings really quickly because I know I'm going to get a million fucking questions about this and it's going to drive me crazy, but that's all good, man. I understand people are entitled to ask, obviously, but I'm running a PMARP. 20 length on the VWMA with 100 look back. Okay, great. All right, you got that. Look, all you need to fucking know about this one is in the green zone over here, more bouncy than not. And we are actually officially tested pretty much the very bottom of it, of which, Bitcoin on the daily has done several times in the past. I've marked all of these off with these vertical lines right here, and you can visualize for yourself, going all the way back even to March 2020, the old flu dump right there. Most of these were major lows. In fact, all of them were major lows before, pretty big moves to the upside, actually. The last one, obviously getting the last major low, the last weekly low at $40,000. Yes, Bitcoin did initially test down into it right here, and then it took, about a week and a half until Bitcoin did get continuation to the upside. Interesting. Same thing over here and of course, this was the May dump, right? We test down to that region right here. It takes another 3 months for Bitcoin to really actually reverse, but it does tell you that the range lows are very likely in. This was a fucking massive range, no doubt about that, but we did not see any closures below the wick low from, I think it was like 19th or 20th of May. Anyways, these ones over here, obviously coming in before the inevitable downturn, but a 25% move before, reversal. This one over here, about another 25% move. This one over here, about a 37% move, actually not bad. This one over here coming out of the base, again, did take some time for it to get going, about 35%, and then, just continuation to 90% over the next month and a half. Then same thing over here. This one also, again, taking a couple months for it to actually get going, even though it didn't reverse, obviously, but just took some time and took some patience. Same thing over here. Same thing on March 2020 as well. So, we're more close to a bouncy area than not. The question is how far, how do we divide up the ranges? And basically that's how I'd be looking at it on the short-term timeframes. Now, where did I put that chart? There it is. That's the chart that I'm looking for. So again, if Bitcoin does break the short-term time frame range to the upside, even on an hourly closure, or even just puts in a wick above there, probably, although I do feel like it's not the best time to be aggressive, to be honest with you. I would be looking for a move very likely somewhere up about $57,000. That does absolutely fuck all for the daily just yet, or any time frame that really matters for direction until we get back above $59,000. And by we, I mean Bitcoin and not myself. I look at this asset as just downtrending and very likely to reach lower with targets down, not just $51,000 on a break of $53,400, even on an hourly closure right there. But basically, I'd be looking for Bitcoin to come down below $50,000 and very likely try for some lows anywhere between about 46.5 to 48.5 in a nice range right there. Until then, this is a little bit more bouncy short term than not. But once the real trading week starts with CME opening and especially New York open on Monday, that's when I would be looking for the general market's direction to kind of play in with each other. Because remember, we are still dealing with, and this is the only high term time frame stuff that I'll talk about right here. Weekly bearish divergence of multiple drives going all the way through, bi-weekly same shit, and of course traditional marks are also having their own reversal as well, which I'll just briefly go over right here, and then I'll shut this video off. But I'm talking about NASDAQ weekly bearish divergence, multiple drives, and close on a bearish engulfing dildo right there. And if we looked at Stokes, it would also be turning down as well. And SPY futures, same thing as, obviously, very, very obviously nasty right there. So, if these ones come down further to open up this week, which I expect that they will, probably looking at Bitcoin to come down as well. So with all of that in mind, I will be leaving this one off right there. That's essentially the short-term timeframes for Bitcoin and what I'm looking for in the next 24 to 48 hours, probably sooner rather than later. Until then, I'll be waiting, and I hope to wish you well once again. I'll be signing off now. I'm searching for my words. Apologies on that. Feel like we need to see more, but it's all good right there. 15 minutes is fine. We've covered all the short-term time frame stuff that I think matters. So hopefully that was helpful, and I'll see you hopefully soon. Take care, and until next time.